Will this Anubias survive? What do you think, guys? There are no leaves, no roots. It is a very small chunk of rhizome, and that is the question for this video. There is a little bit of a story time to why this happened. So, as some of you may know, I moved across the country and I moved my fish room and I took most of my fish and plants with me. For a few weeks after moving, I threw all of my Anubias in this 10-gallon tank and just forgot about it. I figured everything would be fine because, hey, these are all rhizome plants and they are generally really hardy, especially Anubias, and that was what I had the most of in this tank. I really packed it down in here when I should have probably spread it around a little more, but I was thinking I just want it all in one place. A fish swap was coming up and I found someone to take a good amount of Anubias off my hands. I was pretty excited. It was going to be my first sale here in Atlanta and it was a pretty large amount of money. But as I was taking out the Anubias to inspect it, see what pieces were good, I found some pieces of raised brown stuff on the rhizome and on some of the leaves and roots. And I thought, that's really odd. So I kept on looking at it and then I saw more of it and more of it on every single piece. And then I looked back at the pieces I thought were good and I saw little bits of brown patches on those ones too. And then it hit me. This is Anubias rot. I'm not going to go over how to fix rot because I really haven't been able to figure out what would kill it, other than you just need to chop off the pieces that are infected on your plants. Roots, leaves, rhizome, this rot doesn't care. People call it rot because the plant is rotting, but I believe it is a fungal infection. So I tried antifungal medications and fungicides that you're supposed to use in your garden, and I used it on these plants, isolated. But this rot is it's pretty intense. Nothing stopped it, pretty much. So cutting off all of the infected parts was what I had to do. And it wasn't successful every time. I had contaminated scissors at some point and transferred rot to my new freshly cut pieces that didn't have any rot. So then, you can imagine it was just a nightmare of trying to control this. All of my Java fern is fine, my bulbitis, my bucephalandra that was in the tank, all those plants are fine, don't show any symptoms. It was only the Anubias. So that's one thing to keep in mind, and I guess my one silver lining to this whole experience. But I did end up with a lot of cups around the fish room for a very long time, and even now I do still have quite a bit of cups. All of my Anubias is in quarantine and it's really sad. So the question is, will this Anubias survive? Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture of this Anubias when I initially made the cut, but I do remember it. It had just one large leaf that was about 1 inch long, and it didn't have any roots. It was just the rhizome and the leaf. This little guy was in its cup for a month, and then this is what it looked like. That initial leaf fell off, and you can see that there are tiny, itty-bitty little buds popping up around the rhizome. I recall there were around 5 of these little buds. On the second month, you can see that there is some growth, but at this point, it is just so tiny, it would be considered marginal by most people, but it is everything this plant has got to produce these leaves right now. When people tell you Anubias is a very slow-growing plant, they are not kidding. But it is also a very hardy plant. Moving on to month 4, those little buds are now turning into what looks to be more like the actual Anubias plant. And there even is a new root coming out from where that larger Anubias plant is. One thing I noticed that is slightly worrying is that the rhizome is more of a lime green color, and originally it was more of an emerald green, which is a healthy rhizome. So seeing that the rhizome is turning more lighter green is concerning to me. So why am I showing you this chunk of rhizome that is slowly coming back to life? I thought this little piece had no hope of survival, it did come back, and that is one of the benefits of rhizome plants in general, is that they have the ability to store up energy and food in their rhizome. So keep in mind, as long as your rhizome is a healthy dark green color and not squishy to the touch, your plant still has life in it even if it doesn't have any more leaves. Hope this helps you in your plant journey, and I'll see you in the next one.